are scientists unbiased. Some of the scientists there were able to fudge the numbers in order to keep it looking like man-made global warming was occurring. So we saw that politics can actually influence the results that scientists come up with. But the second thing is that scientists and teachers and professors all have a conflict of interest. But how? Well, because no one is allowed to disagree with the prescribed ideas. What happens if you do? Well, number one, there's a loss of influence. Especially scientists can be kicked out of any position where they might be able to write papers, let's say in scientific journals and that type of thing. But number two, there could be a loss of position, which includes the loss of job. And that also means that your resume will have a permanent mark on it, so you may not ever be able to get a job again, at least in the same line of work. Now, if you think that I'm exaggerating here, I would really recommend you watching Icons of Evolution, which is a documentary, and another documentary by Ben Stein called Expelled. And both of these document cases where people have not even really directly contradicted evolution, but just had, there were some hints that maybe intelligent design or creationism might have a better explanation, and people literally lost their positions or their jobs. So in America, there is now the equivalent to an academic gulag. Now, for those of you not familiar with what a gulag is, in the Soviet Union, back when the Iron Curtain was still up, if you had political disagreements with somebody in power, you may never be seen again. And you'd be shipped up to the Soviet area in Siberia where that you would never be heard from again, and that's where they would die. Well, in America, we have the same type of thing academically. So all teachers, scientists, and professors must, and I emphasize must, have a conflict of interest because they're not able to say anything against evolution, no matter what the scientific evidence shows. That is, if they desire to keep their position, influence, or job. Well, how do we see this work out in the laboratory or classroom? Well, any scientific evidence that even hints at being in conflict with the theory of evolution can never be discussed. Students are never able to see all of the evidence that contradicts the theory. Only one side of the debate is ever heard or discussed. Students are never allowed to hear the other side of the argument. What do we see in the classroom and the laboratory? Well, here's just some example. Ages from radiometric dating methods are discarded. That is, if they don't agree with the predetermined ages that the rocks were supposed to have been. Scientific assumptions are changed if pre-agreed upon assumptions do not line up with evolution. So if something contradicts evolution, such as the fossil record, then there will be an explanation or something will be changed in order to make it fit with the theory of evolution. For instance, we know that fossils are often out of order. Okay, well, there's people come up with different reasons for that, but they say, well, there's some kind of leakage, or somehow the fossils sifted on down through the layers and that type of thing. So there's seems to always be an explanation for everything, even though if we looked at scientific evidence, it would directly contradict the theory. because evolution is the only thing that is allowed in the books and scientific journals, then everything regarding the subject is much more susceptible to frauds, fixed, that is, predetermined results, and junk science. So, what that means is that because it's the only thing allowed, then that's the only uh, type of thing that they can put in there. So they may even have to make up things to make it fit their theory. And of course, this has happened many times. The theory of evolution becomes a heads I win, tails you lose scenario. The example is out of order fossils, which we've already discussed, the formation of life, even though there is no scientific possibility that evolution ever could begin from life, there's still basically just the so-called fact from evolutionists that say, well, it happened anyway. Or if you look at the second law of thermodynamics, which always which says that all things get worse and worse, and in other words, entropy occurs. Well, with evolution, somehow that just didn't take place. Nothing can be found or not found that will disprove the theory of evolution. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for going to evosecrets.com.